But will it be President Obama or Speaker Boehner left holding the bag politically for the shutdown? Well, let's bring in our political panel. Washington correspondent for the New Yorker magazine, Ryan Lizza, co-founder and national coordinator for the Tea Party Patriots, Jenny Beth Martin, and author of Sick, The Untold Story of America's Healthcare Crisis, and senior editor for the New Republic, Jonathan Cohn, who tweets under the name Citizen Cohn, which I always appreciated. So, Ryan, how precarious is Boehner's position now? There was that vote earlier in the year where just a handful of members voted against him to be Speaker.
Yeah.
Is his fear of keeping his job playing a role here?
So I've been talking to staff and members in the House of Representatives today trying to answer that question. And the debate that they're having is, what is the minimum that Boehner can bring back to the conference, the minimum concession he can bring back from the President and the Democrats in the Senate and still preserve his job? I mean, that's how it was put to me. Is it the medical device tax? Is it a shorter delay of the individual mandate? But the consensus seems to be that if he puts a clean continuing resolution on the floor and gets no concessions whatsoever after shutting down the government, that he will lose his job as Speaker. And so that's the bind he's in right now. Does he risk his speakership by putting a clean CR on the floor, or does he find a way to set up some process with Obama where he gets some policy concession, but Obama can also say, I didn't actually negotiate over the government shutdown?
Jenny, you and the Tea Party Patriots are having a real moment here. They're wielding a lot of power, controlling one chamber. Is this what was envisioned when the Tea Party began to rise?
What we envisioned is that Congress listens to the American people. And right now it's time for them to stop and listen to the American people. People are losing their jobs. They're losing their health care, their health insurance. Their doctors are quitting, and they're losing their hours in their jobs. This is not what we want to see in our country. And so we're having an open debate finally about Obamacare. But in the end, we've got to make sure that whatever happens from this slowdown that we're in, this partial shutdown, is something that winds up going back and taking care of the Americans who are really bearing the burden and the cost of Obamacare.
Jonathan, I'm sure you have something to say about that.
I do. I mean, with all due respect to Jenny, I think it's ironic to make the case of Obamacare being a failure on a day when we are actually seeing people going to websites, starting to sign up for insurance. It's going to be a slow process. There's going to be a lot of glitches. It's a complicated law. But we saw people, more than 1,000 people in Kentucky this morning. Already 2 million young adults have signed on, gotten coverage through their parents. We see seniors getting more prescription drug coverage. This is a law that people have said in polls, even though they have mixed feelings about it, they don't want to shut down the government about it. They don't want to crash the debt ceiling over it. Look, we've had an open debate about it. We've had a debate for a very long time. We've all been there for it. It's been years long. I think the American people are tired of debating about Obamacare. Let's let it run. Let's see how it goes. Look, if it's an abject failure, you know, the conservatives can take it off the books in 2 years. But the Democrats are betting, and I think the Republicans know, it's going to be pretty popular.
Well, I think one of the arguments that conservatives would make, and Jenny, jump in here, is that anytime you create a new entitlement, you're going to create millions of people who like it because they're getting something for free, and that is one of the concerns here, especially when it comes to expanding Medicaid, right?
Well, it is a concern, but frankly, right now, our bigger concern is the fact that people are losing their health insurance coverage. They are losing their jobs. Their hours are being reduced. This is having very real effects on Americans across the country. While businesses have had the business mandate delayed, and Congress has just voted yet again in the Senate yesterday to keep themselves above the law and above the rest of the American people. The American people deserve the same exemptions and delays as what we've seen Congress get and business get.
You know, again, you know, with all due respect, there have been a lot of stories, and you hear this complaint a lot, oh, people are losing health insurance, people are losing hours. There's been a very careful look at the statistics. There is no evidence that people are losing hours. There have been stories, it's happening in a few places, a few people are losing hours, but the flip side is that people who have part-time work, who never had a guarantee of health insurance before, now they finally have a guarantee of health insurance, something they never had before.
Because they go on Obamacare?
20,000 employees from Home Depot who have now lost the health insurance that Home Depot was offering because of Obamacare. These spouses of UPS employees are losing their health insurance that they had through their spouse's coverage. This is not, the president promised if you have health insurance, you're going to be able to keep your health insurance. That is not what's happening across America.
Let's bring the debate back here to Capitol Hill. Ryan, how do you see this playing out? What happens next?
Look, the House is going to try and pass these mini CRs, right? So they're going to try and fund the most popular things that are becoming.
Harry Reid said no way.
He's already rejected that, like as he's rejected everything else. So I come back to this decision that Boehner has to make. It seems like the president and the Democrats in the Senate are saying pass a clean CR, and that is it. That is all that they are accepting. So Boehner squeezed that way, and then on his right, Boehner is squeezed from his caucus, saying we will not accept that. We will not accept a clean CR. You will lose your speakership, and you've got to get us something. You can't have led us into this fight without getting something out of it.
Very quickly, last thought, Jenny Beth Martin from Tea Party Patriots. What's the minimum that Boehner can get in return for a government spending bill?
We need a full delay and to stop spending our money on this law for the next year. The American people deserve to have the same breaks that businesses are getting and that Congress and their staff are getting.
So some delay on the individual mandate or on the whole bill?
On the whole bill, not just
whole law, I should say.
The whole law. You're absolutely right, the whole law, and some delay on the whole law, not just the individual mandate. And in the meantime, let's fund the Veterans Affairs. Let's fund the other portions of government. The Senate just voted unanimously to do that with military pay, and the president signed it, so they are willing to do that in some degree. They need to continue to do that.
John Martin? Jonathan Cohn. John Martin is somebody else. Jonathan Cohn,
I think
last
that's
thought.
not going to happen. There's always open discussion for trying to fix the bill and improve it, but not while there's a gun held to the head of the Democrats.